podcast where people reach their goals and develop confidence one mind shift habit at a time. Let's join our host, Certified Coach Christina.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another Wednesday here on Conversations with Coach. I hope everyone has had a fantastic Wednesday, and you're ready to get started with me on this evening with Conversations. Before I introduce my guest, I just want to check in with you. How are you doing with your goals that you've set? That you did set back in January? Not a judgment question, just checking in with you. I do remember that some of you set some wellness goals and wanted to find out and just ask you, did you know that surveys show that more than 80% of individuals who set weight loss as a goal at the beginning of the year have either lost steam or completely abandoned the idea by mid-March? It's true. And the research suggests several reasons, one of which is accountability. Well, if you have been watching and following me here on Conversations with Coach, you know that this is the podcast that helps you with your mindset shift. And this evening is going to be no different. My guest this evening is none other than Wlaa Weeks. He's the owner and founding trainer of CYB Atlanta. What does CYB stand for? It is catch your breath. I'm going to give you a little bit more information about that. And I'm going to correct myself because he will correct me when I bring him forth. He's actually not a trainer. He refers to himself as a personal consultant. And he is as I mentioned, he is the owner and founder of an integrative personal training company in the heart of Atlanta. And it was started to help personalize clients' fitness experiences and provide a solutions-driven training approach relative to the client's needs. He also founded the CYB method, an integrative data-driven discovery solution system which collects pertinent information relative to a client's fitness budget, injury history, and training availability, and more to assist fitness professionals provide a more personalized training experience and improve client retention. Wlaa is originally from Liberia in West Africa. He learned early in life about the importance of integration. He was an athlete growing up and went to school all over the world in places like Africa, Europe, and the United States. I'm not going to give away too much more of his secrets. So I want you to put some love in the chat and help me welcome our guest this evening.
Hey, how are you doing?
I'm good, Wlaa. How are you?
I'm great. It is Wednesday.
Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. I had to hurry up and correct myself. I said, oh my gosh, I called him a personal trainer. He is not that. And I wanted to make sure that I corrected myself in doing that. And that actually brings up a really good point that I wanted to ask you when you first came out. You refer to yourself as a fitness consultant versus a personal trainer. And it's not to knock personal trainers, but it's actually to identify the difference between a fitness consultant and a personal trainer, because there is a difference between the two. And I want you to explain to the viewing audience tonight and anyone who may be watching the replay later, what is the difference between the two?
Great question. Thanks for having me, by the way. This is awesome and excited to be on You're doing an amazing job, and I'm looking forward to our conversation tonight.
Thank you.
Yeah, the question, fitness consultant, personal trainer. I think that a fitness consultant just pretty much allows you to realize that there is this consulting piece that I believe that I have the ability to do with clients who need help with personal training. And I've been fortunate to have a business, a company, CYB Atlanta, where we work with clients on a daily basis, and I hire personal trainers to work with them. So at the end of the day, yes, I am a personal trainer. I just identify myself more as a fitness consultant who literally sits with prospective clients and current clients. And what I believe we do is we consult to break down the needs of what they want. A lot of people think of personal training and they don't realize that there's a whole different areas that you have to work with, whether it's fitness, which revolves around resistance and cardio training. You have nutrition, which pretty much revolves around hydration and the food that you're eating. And those are all areas that personal trainers aren't necessarily the specialists that deal with that. We pretty much, as a fitness consultant, I believe I navigate who they need to go to, and I put them in the best position that will help them have an efficient process on reaching their goal. And that's where a fitness consultant came about from a fitness professional standpoint.
Absolutely. And thank you again for helping the audience to know the difference between the two. I mentioned when I was introducing you that you were a former athlete, and so therefore you have been around fitness for a really long time. I want you to share with the audience, did this profession choose you, or did you choose this profession?
You're good. You're good. Well, I mean, that's a great question. I think that you can go both ways. I personally go both ways. I think one thing that I have learned in my years of being in positions is that your experiences that you go through sets you up for what you're going to be doing, right? And I think that when I graduated college, I graduated from Florida State University, Go Noles, and I graduated in 2008. In 2008, if you're in the financial field, you know that it was a crash in the financial market. So me graduating as someone from college, played sports. I worked in the banking system while I was in college. I had 2 jobs, worked at the mall, busting my butt. But what I found was that you couldn't get a decent job. You had to go like grind it out. So I think that me being in college, I broke my leg, while I played football. Then I started working as a trainer part-time. Then I worked in the banking industry, and I went to school for finance, by the way. I didn't go to school for kinesiology or anything like that. I was put in a position to find what my passion was. I always knew I wanted to help people, but I wanted to help people from an investment banking standpoint. Help people like create stocks, put a portfolio together and stuff like that. And when I graduated and I couldn't do that or get a job that allowed me to do that, I pretty much said to myself from a business standpoint, I said, yo, how about in the fitness industry? I work in the industry and I create portfolios based around what people need to diversify what they want in fitness, and create it from that standpoint. And so I took what I loved in investment banking and analyzing accounts and looking at different stocks and stuff. And I said, how about if I just looked at it in my love for fitness and health? And so that's kind of where I feel like it did choose me. But I also think I chose it in the sense like I looked at from a business standpoint what was lacking or what was missing in my industry that I'm in currently, and found a way to personalize training from a consulting, from a due diligence standpoint first, versus fitting people into a box and just letting them do what I create. Like, no, I need you to tell me what you're looking for, what you need, where your weaknesses, where your strengths are. So I do a SWOT analysis, which was all learned in business school, and I create a portfolio that revolves around like Peloton or they like to run. And that's kind of where it's kind of cool that I can say that me choosing it came about as well. So I can go both ways.
Right. That is really interesting. And because your model is so different in terms of how you just explain it, I understand it more full circle, how your company is so different because of your business background, the SWOT analysis, of seeing things from that perspective. And how I described your business, you're able to do that customization for your clients. And so let's talk a little bit more about that in terms of when someone actually comes to you
Mhm.
and they're interested in your company and becoming a part of your company, and they want to begin, they're that person that I just described at the beginning. They have that, I don't believe in resolutions, but they have that goal that
We don't
that
judge. We don't judge. We just redirect.
yeah, exactly. So that goal at the beginning of the year, that they want to get rid of all of their generational ills of the family,
Yeah.
and they want to live that healthier life. They want to turn off all of the switches that could lead to any type of illness that their families are used to having, and they want to get on that train. I'm going to live a healthier life. And they come in and they're like, Wlaa, this is my goal. This is what I want to do. And you're going down the list and they're answering the questions to you. What is that biggest misconception about personal training that you kind of see over and over that you're having to reshift their mindset about?
Man, I love your questions, by the way. This is awesome. Yeah, I think that's a great question. I think that the biggest misconception, I mean, there's like 5 of them, but I'll list like 1 or 2, is for the prospect coming in that they can do what they were doing and get a different result. You know, it's really interesting how psychology plays an important role in my job. But one of the biggest things that I find is that people associate quantity with result. And what I mean by that is like they feel like they need to work out all the time and burn calories and just count the number of calories to see the result that they want. When in actuality, there's this part of quality and value that they need to realize that it doesn't take 5 to 10 workouts a week to get in shape or to have a personal trainer, you know? So you don't need to work out with me every single day to see results. My job is to help you realize that you are better off understanding who you are, the stresses that your body has, versus thinking that just coming in and working out 5 days a week from not working out at all, like the past 4 months, will make you get in shape. You will see results from a personal training standpoint the first month, 2 months, but your body will naturally burn out. So long story short is you have to take it just like a job, right? If you have a job and you just work every single day, hard, 7, 10 hours, no breaks, right? Your body is going to burn out. And then you're going to not love the job as much as you did. So the idea of the misconception that a lot of people think is like, okay, I'm going to start this program at the beginning of the year, New Year's. And there's a reason why by February 15th, March 1st, there's a drop off because there's this burnout effect. So the idea is to start the year off not doing the same thing you do every year and wonder why in June you're back to square one. The idea is to say, okay, well, what weaknesses, what areas do I need to improve from what I did last year, and how do I do that? And what are my strengths? I'm really, really routine and regimented. So let me use that routine and regimen that I use on my daily when I go get the same thing I eat for breakfast every day. Like maybe you should look at that as a strength that you have and apply it to your daily or weekly programming for your fitness goals. And so those are things that I try to kind of just navigate from a misconception standpoint of, the quantity of working out every single day isn't it. All right. You have that, you have your recovery you need to think about, you have the stress levels, you have your sleep. I mean, there's so many different avenues. And that's why I tell people all the time, I'm like, there's a reason why science was not people's favorite subject or class to go to when they were in high school or college.
Yes.
You know, it is a science at the end of the day. So I want people to think about it. You have the recovery you need to think about. You have the stress levels.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I like that. I like the fact that if what I heard, I just want to make sure I heard it. So when you have a client to come to you, you're looking at their patterns, their history of what it is that they are doing in their regular everyday routine life. And you take that, and it's not so much as you're telling them, throw all of that away and do this, so that it takes them outside of their cadence, outside of their rhythm. What you're saying is, let's take what it is that you are doing on a regular basis and let's figure out a way that works for you that will help you to become more consistent, but doing it in a way that is a healthier way.
Correct. And that's all I'm saying. I'm saying it from a standpoint of, you take the misconception of like, okay, I'm going to stop everything I was doing or I used to do, and I'm just going to come to you and you tell me what to do, and I'll do it. Right. And I'll do it all the time. And I'm like, no. Like, what do you like to do? Okay, I hate running, but what do you like to do? Well, I used to box and I love boxing. Everybody thinks about what they don't like to do or what they don't want to do. Like, yo, what do you like to do? What do you like to eat? Like, stuff like that. And I look at it from that standpoint. I'll give you a prime example of a client. A client was always working out, doing this one workout, group fitness that's all running, and then they get on another machine and do another workout, right? And she thought she was coming to me to make her stop going, and she was ready to cancel her membership. I was like, no. Don't cancel your membership. How many times were you going there? And she said 6 to 7 times a week, sometimes twice a day, right? And I was like, okay, there's nothing wrong with that, but how close are you to what you want from a goal standpoint, aesthetics, performance levels, and like sleeping well and not being stressed? She's like, oh my God, I feel so bad. Like, I just don't feel like I'm getting any results. I'm like, okay, so how about this? How about we don't stop you from going there? How about we go from 6 to 7 times to twice a week, and then you're going to come to me once or twice a week, depending on your budget, and then I'm going to have you walk more. You've been running so much, your body is just exhausted. How about you walk, and how about I add you going to the sauna twice a week for the first month, right? Now, that looks like, oh, it's a lot of money. But what's crazy is that it's really not. That's why you have to budget and you have to lay it out for a short period of time, and then you evolve it over time. And so that's the misconception. People think that if I charge you $1,000 or $500 a month, that you're going to be paying that for the rest of your life. No, we budget out every 3 months, and we could do a quarterly review and stuff like that. But that's kind of the idea that we're trying to get people to realize from a consulting standpoint, that you got to look at a macro view, big picture, bird's eye, and then you recategorize stuff every 3 months, quarterly goals, quarterly breakdown, quarterly budget. And then you realize that over the course of the year, you might be spending a lot in quarter one, but by quarter four, you're like a whole different mindset because you're mentally more aware, you're physically in better shape, and so then you'll be more independent for that reason.
Yes.
And the only reason people still come to me isn't because I'm a magician of what I do, is because I create a relationship.
Yes.
That's the third piece. You create a relationship. A misconception is that I'm your trainer, so I can never go and go to your event you're having. Like, no, I mean, we create a relationship. And I always tell my trainers, our team, when we have meetings, I'm like, yo, this is like a dating game. We literally are dating. And you can either have a long-term relationship, or you can just have a fling. It's up to you. And let's do long-term relationships, because God is looking.
Yes, absolutely. I love it. Someone had put in the chat from, I believe it was from YouTube, that your company is so different. And it is true. It is so, so very different than what we have been, those of us who actually have personal trainers or have had personal trainers, and the association that we've had with belonging to gyms or memberships. And it's just and it's refreshing to hear that. Awesome. This brings me up to the third topic that I want to talk with you about. And I kind of alluded to it in your introduction. I want to talk to you about your company, CYB Atlanta, and that acronym, which stands for Catch Your Breath. First of all, the name of your company, Catch Your Breath, in so many ways. Number one, when you associate it with working out, I know myself that I have used that. Hold on, wait a minute, let me catch my breath. Collectively, whenever I'm in a conversation with someone and something so off the wall has been said, I'm just like, wait a minute, let me catch my breath before I respond. And sometimes in my head, I'm telling myself, girl, catch your breath before, or take a breath before you respond to that. Go ahead and just tell us, how did you come up with Catch Your Breath? And then give us all the tea on Catch Your Breath Atlanta.
Great. It's hilarious because it's one of those things where I always give my girl credit. Heather Heather Trolline. She was my creative mind. She worked for this company that was a marketing company, but she was also a close friend and she was a client. And I'm not the creative guy at all. I really don't think that kind of stuff. So long story short, that's a phrase I've used all of my life. And I tell you today, I think it's one of the most common phrases that nobody thinks about, but they say every single day probably. So she said, well, you always tell me to catch my breath. Catch your breath. Yo, Heather, catch your breath and we'll get back to it. And so in the workout, that's the one part. That's how the name came about. Catch your breath, because I always say it. And she was like, yo, that's your company name. Like, stick with that. And I just went with it, right? But the other piece of it is, like, as I have grown and experience-wise, like, I train a lot of very, very busy individuals, moms who are taking the kids to soccer practice. Then they got to go get them dinner. Then, there's just this nonstop approach to the lifestyle that we live every day. And there's all these stresses. And then there's all these, like, executives who are always traveling for work. And then they never take time to catch their breath.
Right.
And the idea of catching your breath is a lot deeper than just like while you're working out, you're out of breath and you need to stop. It's like, yo, sometimes we just need to stop and take a minute for ourselves and realize, yo, what do I really want? What do I really need at this point in my life? And once you stop for a minute and you have a coach or a professional to help you navigate that, like how you're a coach and you are navigating this mindset thing, which is amazing. Like, you start to realize there's a lot more to fitness and staying in shape, because everybody's in shape isn't about a flat stomach or a bigger butt or biceps. It's deeper than that. And so my goal was always to say, yo, it's more than a workout. There's a lot of other aspects of this thing that people actually can strive to attain. And everybody has a different mental thought process. So that was where Catch Your Breath came from. I pretty much literally have evolved, and our company has evolved with the experiences we've had, with the clients we've had, with the trainers we've had, management we've had, with the way I have grown in my personal life, which has evolved into my professional life as well. It shows you a lot. Like I said from the beginning, it's like your experiences do shape what you become over time. And I think, like, that's where Catch Your Breath is. You take a minute to actually evaluate and analyze your lifestyle every single day. You start to learn what really works and what doesn't. And that's what Catch Your Breath is. And like I said, we are trying to be different. This year's theme is just be different, like, we are different. And I'm proud of it, because that's what makes brands stand out. And, one of the things I always say is, like, our company was built not around tangible things. Like, it's not about how great the workout is. Anybody can give somebody a great workout. It's about how much of an experience you give somebody every time they walk in the door. It's about the intangibles, the accountability piece, texting a client before your session to ask them how they're feeling before they come in the next day, 12 hours later. It's about the convenience of having a space set up for them so they know what they're going to do, talking to them about what they're expecting to do in the next hour. We try to create this intangible environment that allows people to walk in and know that they're getting this consistency from every trainer. And we all work as a team. Like, if I'm training a client, one of my trainers can train them as well. There's no, like, these are my clients and you can't train them. Like, no, I create programs and we all work together as a team. And I've always said team environments is what works long term. And so those are the things that CYB stands for. We catch our breath. We have a good time doing it. We don't judge people. Resolutions are great. We just try to make sure that they are realistic to what you want, not what you saw somebody else say they wanted, or what you think you wanted from, like, 15 years ago. And today's lifestyle is completely different. So you have to factor all those things in. That's where the fitness consultant, fitness professional comes in versus just a personal trainer who just works you out and tells you, I'll see you next week or 2 days from now. And they don't see you again until you walk back in the door. Right. So that's kind of where CYB is. And I'm excited for what we're trying to do. And our team, we're growing, and it's great. It's great.
Yeah, I know in the previous the conversations that we had, that you were talking about the pandemic. Like, for most businesses, everyone had to pivot and go online. And you also have the brick and mortar too, but you did not, now that things are, moving back to people doing things in person, that you still have a big online presence, that you are still doing your training online as well. And so talk to me as it relates to, how do you select your team? How are you able to do both? Because you're so busy and you have the same struggle as most most businesses in terms of finding staff to be able to do it, because you have to be very selective. It's not just about someone coming and saying, hey, Wlaa, I have certifications and da 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 da. But if someone's watching and they're like, I really like his concept and I want to, hit him up and see if I could be a part of his team, what would you say to that individual?
I think everyone who is prideful about what they do and passionate about what they do is a prospective individual that can work with the team or be a part of the team. I think the biggest thing concept-wise is to realize that in every system there is a developmental process. And I do think that what we get caught up in is what our experiences are from the past versus realizing that when you have a new job and when you come into a system, there is a time that you want to learn. And the process is grueling and it's okay. And so I do think that there's this period of like being humble, being prideful of what you know, being able to bring value, intangible value that would stand up. I've told all of our team when they're hired in their orientation process, I have them have one thing that they have to do, and that is create their brand of who they are that will make them like stand out. Because I do think being invaluable is so important in our industry. And so long story short, I do think that obviously certifications are important. That's the tangible piece of it. But I do think that what keeps people going are the intangibles that they bring in that completely can't be duplicated, can't be replicated. It's either you got it or you don't, and that's what I think keeps people in the industry, because it is a tough industry. It's oversaturated. It's nuts. It's something where you will get burnt out if you're not passionate or prideful about what you bring. And there's this piece of patience that, I've been doing this for 16 years now, and there's this piece of patience that you pretty much have to have, or else you're gonna pretty much be looking for 5-6 different things every 2 years, if that makes sense.
It does make sense. Very good. Now, I did allude to the fact that you do still have an online presence. So if you're watching this live or if you watch the replay and you're like, I am very interested in connecting with Wlaa and I want to join. I want to work out with him, with his team. You all know what I do. That call to action. I am going to share with you how you can get in touch with him. Or if you're a trainer and you want to learn more about how you could actually maybe be a part of his team, even if you're not in Atlanta and you want to know if there is a possibility that you could be a part of his team, maybe virtually. I don't know the answer to that. That's why I'm going to put you in touch with how you can ask him that question. You can connect with him on Instagram and Facebook. This is his contact. It's at CYB Atlanta. Pretty easy. And he also has a website. Again, all this information is in the show notes. So if you don't have time where you can write it all down quickly, don't worry about it. The links where you can click on them, it's in the show notes on all 3 of the platforms. So just make sure that you check the show notes. And Wlaa, I always do this at the end when it's time for us to wrap up. I do a final thoughts. And this is the final thoughts question that I am going to ask of you. When it comes to the benefits of hiring a personal trainer, what is the one mindset shift that you would like to leave with the listening audience?
Wow. Great question. First of all, thank you for having me. This is amazing. We could go another hour. I'll love it. I'm warmed up now. But great question. The final thought I would say relative to hiring a personal trainer is the quantity versus quality is one of the most important things to what personal training really is. Personal training was always set up to help build confidence in what you do, independence, and motivation. And I do feel like it gets lost in the fact that you're becoming dependent on having a trainer to actually work out. And if the trainer is not there, then you're not doing it, which creates dependency, which is the opposite of what personal training was meant to be. And personal training is set up to help you build independence to feel comfortable going to the gym to do stuff like where you don't get hurt, you reduce the chance of injury from occurring. You feel confident where when you work out, you're like, man, I just achieved something because I pushed myself like my trainer would have, or Wlaa would have done it. You know, you have a personal trainer, you should feel comfortable texting that trainer to let him know or let her know that you did push yourself, or that trainer should already be in touch with you on a regular basis, holding you accountable. It's way more than a workout. It's something that hashtag, it's more than a workout, stick with all the time. And I want you to always remember that you can do this yourself. We are here as a guide to help you with the expertise, the blueprint as a personal trainer, the motivating piece of getting you going. And then you should take time when you have a personal trainer to not fire them, but put them on hold. I encourage my clients to take a month or two off and do the stuff on their own. And I'll check in on them in the 2 months, but that gives me time to reprocess, and it gives them time to build independence. But also, it also indirectly helps them realize like, oh, this is actually possible. And so I will suggest, and I will give you that final thought to say, you know, independence is really a big piece of what makes everything go round, and you should strive to achieve that in your fitness journey as well as hitting your goals. And hold us accountable, please. Trainers need accountability too. If you're not like, yo, my numbers aren't changing or this or that, it's not all about that. But if that's your goal, your numbers matter. If your goal is just to feel better, that is important. If you're not feeling better, you need to hit me up or say, yo, Wlaa, why don't I feel better? You know, because we're supposed to be hitting that goal that you set at the beginning, and you are so excited, and then you pay the money, and then you're like, oh, I'm just gonna go. Oh, it's supposed to be happening, but it's not because it's me. It's not always you. And so that's my final thought. Just always remember to build independence, stay accountable for yourself, hold whoever you're paying accountable, because you are spending money. We're not your best friends, because if you're spending money on us, we're your friends, but you're also paying us to do a job. So let's stay on top of that.
Thank you so much. And that was perfect. You're talking to me on that. Very good. I appreciate you so much. All right. Thank you again for joining me. I'm going to say goodbye to my audience, and then I'll be right back with you, okay?
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate you.
You're welcome. Well, there you have it, everyone. That we got a whole lot in a short amount of time, and I hope that you'll take the time to rewatch this episode, because there were so many good and rich nuggets. His company is amazing. Make sure you are following him on his social media, and also make sure that you reshare this episode, because there are so many people who can benefit from it. As I mentioned, there were quite a few people who set this as a goal at the beginning of the new year. And as I shared with you, the statistics show that by mid-March, 80% of those people have just walked away from that goal. But as we've just learned here, they can pick it back up and get ready for if they're wanting to have that summer sexy body, it's still a possibility that they can reach that goal. You all know who I am. I am your mindset and confidence coach, and you all know how to follow me on my social media. It is Christina Mindset Coach on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. Make sure that you're sharing that with your friends and your family. You can reach me also on my website. It's ChristinaCC.com. That's where you can get a clarity call. If you want to find out more, you're thinking, well, maybe I just need a shift in my mindset. Go ahead and schedule your clarity call, and we'll get you started on that journey. I hope everyone has a great rest of their week, that the time change, that if you're in the part of the country where they're still doing daylight savings time, I hope you are now getting caught up on the extra hour that you lost, and that the rest of the week goes extremely well for you. And I will see you here next week, same time, same stations. Until then, make it a great week. Thank you.
Thank you for tuning in to Conversations with Coach. Please be sure to follow Coach Christina on all of her social media platforms. And remember, life is only as good as your mindset.